Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage. Today we're going to work on the rear bumper for the Sweetheart Roadster. Last video we did the front bumper and it was very much discussed in the comments, which I knew it would be. So I've been working on a rear bumper. I kind of stared at it for a little while, and I think what I want to do is a very simple, just like large oval shaped bumper in the back here that we're going to try and keep inside of the rear panel and just kind of picture frame all this stuff, so we're not going to hide any of the work I did here. Just kind of get a rear bumper that might, I haven't decided if it's going to be even with the tips of the taillights or if it's going to be in. Not quite sure yet, but we're going to start by making the overall shape. We still have our fixture all set up on the table, so we can heat and bend and get the same radius on the ends. And then we'll work on making mounts and figure out where we're going to set it. But first, we're going to get the torch set up and start heating up some metal again and get this bent up.
Get the right temperature. And if you start feeling it move, just kind of tell me and I'll... Okay, good. Yeah, just keep that light pressure like that. Nice and light. And like I said, you're keeping an eye on that. And if it feels like it's getting hard to bend again, just like let off, it's not a race. So I'll move the heat around as we go.
The other way, so not out your hands. Yep. Going, yep.
Okay, it got hard.
What?
It got hard for a second. What? Stop.
Yeah, so I gotta move the flame out a little bit. Yep, that's good. Going. Now stand back for me. See what it looks like. See if it came way back there. See if that looks like it's going in or out too much. That's what you do. Now that it's so hot right there, we can adjust it that little bit. And actually, I got these spacers I made. It was in a little too much actually, which is fine. So I made these little spacers. So I made these for the other one that when I'm welding it, as long as these are snug or really close, everything's pretty much parallel.
You got the levers. Yeah, no, you're doing a good job. You'll feel it kind of get... in there?
Yep.
I get my spacer there. Drop that in near the edge here. Yep. Look at that. Damn near perfect.
There's a gap, like quite a bit of a gap.
I wanted a gap. I cut extra out because if I weld it, I want to be able to fill that gap all the way through so you get full penetration. Alright, that should hold together at least. Alright, so I tack welded the bumper together. We're not sure if we 100% love what this one-piece bumper, so we want to use some jack stands here to get it. And then just roll it. Watch front there. That was room we got to the loader. That's pretty good right there. Oh, that gave us much more. Alright, so now put your jack stand like right in line with the center of the tail light there.
Yep.
That's where it's living. Did you take one out? No, I left it in. I'm just turning it the other way so it doesn't roll on it.
Oh yeah, I thought you may were gonna take one out.
I'm not sure yet. We're gonna.
I like it.
Yeah, see now, I think it could go down maybe another, like a hair.
Mm-hmm.
But it's pretty cool because I wanted it to picture frame the lights.
Yeah, and it's not like directly through the middle of the plate either.
No, well that's what I'm saying. When you kneel down and you get this back end shot, if the plate's centered in the opening,
Mm-hmm.
and then it's picture framing that, you don't really see the opening of the license plate. I mean, when you stand up, obviously, but you're looking like diagonal. So
Yeah.
no matter what we do, you're kind of gonna get that effect. Gravity back there. That looks about right. Yeah, I think it is pretty close.
Yeah.
I have this. Oh no, it's gonna be bigger now.
Yeah, it's gonna be different now.
Left in there.
Yep.
Almost.
So if you want to stand in the back.
Yep.
Center.
Got it. Go over to the driver's side. A little bit more. Just a hair more. Like, yeah.
Is that good?
Yeah. Yep.
So nice not having to put anything under there. Just All right, after our second try with the bumper, I think we got one that's gonna work. Got the size about right. So what I did the first time is used our same fixture we have over here, which is a piece of tubing, super technical, with another piece of tubing, and we were heating and bending around it, and that's what we made our front bumper with. And proportionally, I'm really happy with how that came out. And I kind of was staring at it and realized that the shape of the bends, or the radius of the bends, were spot on for the shape of the taillights, the radius on the taillights. So I made this one here that is one piece that you saw us make the first time. That was yesterday I made that. And put it on, and it was just a little too small. In the flats around the license plate, it was just a little too small, and it was kind of, cutting off a little bit of the license plate. Now what we're running into is because I'm trying to keep it in this panel here, right in there. I don't want it to get too big where it's like overlapping the deck lid, or it's going way below the sub rails. I'm just trying to keep it as small as possible so it doesn't look too obnoxiously large on the car. So I oftentimes, when I'm building stuff, and especially on a Sunday when I'm, almost by myself or whatever, I will send some of my close friends photos and just see what they say. So like I sent Mike a photo of the other bar without really much context, and he immediately said, it looks cool, but what if the opening of the bar was maybe just a little bit bigger, because it's kind of, it looks a little weird blocking the license plate. So he suggested doing the distance of the bar. So this is a 5/8 solid round bar stock. He suggested doing 5/8 up, like doubling the, going over that. So I started measuring, and that would have made the bar move up so much on both sides that it would have really gotten close to this opening. So trying to figure out what I was going to do, and what I decided to do, it's kind of crude, but it seems to have worked. What we realized is it needed only really a 1/4 inch top and bottom, so 1/2 inch overall. And so what I did was we took a piece of 1/4 inch flat bar stock, and we heated and bent it to the tubing, and tack welded, because I didn't have the right size of tubing to get the diameter we needed here sitting at the shop. And it's snowy outside, I'm not going to the metal yard. So I did that, and we ended up bending that around, and it worked out pretty good. I mean, I'm fairly happy with it. So we got this set up here. The things we've decided that we like with this bumper, how we have it set up is, I decided to make the bumper angled the same basic angle as the rear panel. I forget how many degrees it is off the top of my head, but we got the angle about the same. So when you stand from the side, the bumper doesn't look awkward like it's standing straight up. So that was the one thing we figured out. Decided for depth, just to get it so that it's just past the tip, the peak of those 58 Chev taillights. So happy with that. That's pretty good. And height-wise, we have it. It's basically centered on the taillights, but we might have it favoring the top just a little bit to get the kind of the lines, the horizontal lines for the plate opening to disappear. When you're standing looking at the car from most angles, they kind of disappear, and you can see the whole plate. So pretty happy with that. I think we're going to stick with this one here. Next thing we're going to do is I want both of these the bumpers, I wanted them to be floating. Look floating. Again, I'm doing a mid to late 50s, early 60s style show rod, where it's much like the customs that area. We have floating grills and floating bumpers. So that's what we're doing. So what I think I'm going to do is take some round bar stock, and we're going to make little bumper mounts that go from the back of the bar into the rear panel, top and bottom. So there'll be 4 of them, but when you stand here, you won't really see them. So I found some tubing that we had in stock laying around. I must have got for something and never used that. I have a bunch of these sticks of this. So this tubing, the ID, is actually just about perfect. It's like a slip fit with the 5/8 bar stock, but I want it to be a little looser than that so that it's not a major pain in the butt when we go to put everything together. Also, we're getting this chrome, so we're going to add some material thickness on the bumper mount bars. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to cut some tubing here and actually put this through the body into the trunk area, weld it to the rear panel on the face here. And then we're also going to, in the back, brace it and weld it, you know, so it's braced to the floor and everything for each of these. So I'll have 4 tubes going into the body, and then I'll make 4 mounts that are little, like 5-inch stubs of round bar stock. I'm going to turn these down on the lathe, each one just a little bit. I haven't decided how much yet, so that they fit quite easily in this tube. And then I can fit everything together, clamp it together, weld it, and we should be good. So that's my game plan for this. I feel like the rear bumper, even though it's simpler in design, is a little more involved than the front bumper, but moving right along. Alright, so I've been doing a bunch of work. It's very tedious here getting this all set up. So I took some of this solid round bar stock. I think I misspoke earlier and said it was 5/8. It's actually 3/4. So I got this 3/4 round bar stock that we were using for the whole bar. So I cut off some pieces on that and I made these little stands. I bored holes through and found some tubing we had that was also had a 3/4 inch opening. So I put these solid bar stock on the lathe and turned them down just a few thousandths just so they're a slip fit. I ended up drilling through both pieces, so we have bolts. It's a little hard to tell in there, but there is some bolts that you can see down on that one, and I actually made a little foot down in there that's very hard to see, but there's a little foot that slips over the tubing and on the bottom and is holding it up, and then it's got a bolt, 3/8 bolt in each one that holds the bar right where it needs to be. I machined all of these so that they have a little shoulder on them so we could set them in, and with the tubing, which you could see just barely in there, it's a real nice tight fit on the sheet metal. Everything's a nice, fairly snug fit. So what we're going to do, I'm going to have everything kind of loose right now still with the bolts through the tubing into the solid bar stock, and we have everything pretty much leveled and sitting the angle we want and all of that stuff. So we're going to work on basically tacking each one. So this, like this, we need to push down a little bit to get this the tubing that's through the back panel to get everything sitting at exactly the right angle we want, because of the weight of everything, it wants to kind of like sit up. So we're going to work our way around and tack each of those, get them all sitting nice, and then on the back side where these top ones, they actually go through the factory bracing, which is tied into the quarter panels and into the sub rails and all of that. So that's kind of structural. So I end up welding this piece of tubing. I hole sawed all the way through, and then we can weld around it. And it's impossible to see on camera, but I'm going to get in there with the MIG on that and weld around in there, since I can't get in with the TIG. But everything's looking good, happy with how it's sitting, and we are basically ready to start tacking it and getting it sitting on here fairly permanently. So fire the welder up and get working. All right, got the rear bumper all sanded and mounted back up. Definitely like the front bumper we talked about. Still needs a ton of work. I plan on chroming these, so they are gonna need countless hours of filling pits and sanding and polishing and sanding and polishing to get them to that level. But I just welded up around the mounts here, just quickly, roughed in and blended the welds, but they do need a lot more work. And I welded around the tubing that we put in here, both inside and outside, so that's all nice and sturdy. I worked on sanding the actual mounts a little bit. I ended up tapering them because I found as you're fitting it in, because we actually made the bumper sit at the same angle as the rear panel, so when it goes in, it's kind of like hard to get these mounts started. So I actually tapered the ends a bit more than I started out with, so that they fit in nice and easy now. Everything's bolted up. It's nice and sturdy. I mean, it's definitely very sturdy on the car. Now, I'm sure we'll get comments like we did the front bumper. This is not supposed to save the car from a F-250 hitting us at 35 miles an hour. It's going to damage the car, yes. We don't give a shit. So it's gonna look cool, and biggest thing was, if for some reason you're backing the car up and you tap into something, this will save your taillights, and also it looks cool. It just looks cool. So this was one of the last big styling things on the car that I've had in my head since I've been dreaming up building this car. So really cool. Now we're getting really down to the not fun stuff of doing more gapping, fixing dents, adjusting work that I've already done, and just going around in circles on the car. If I find anything else that's interesting on the car in between that, we'll definitely shoot some videos, but will probably not be a ton of videos for a little while in this car, because I'm going to just be doing a lot of work that's not that interesting for a video. But that is the rear Nerf bar bumper. I think it finishes out the back perfectly, and picture frames those taillights and all the work in the back panel, and I'm really happy with it. So as always, let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Appreciate it. Catch you later.